technological world.
Mhm.
You know, from the most abstract theories, dreamt up maybe in a patent office, all the way to the incredibly powerful devices sitting right there in your hand.
Yeah.
Today, we're taking you on a deep dive into exactly that.
And that's really our mission here at the Deep Dive, isn't it?
It is.
To, cut through all the information overload. There's just so much out there.
Absolutely.
And we try to extract the most important nuggets, the real knowledge and insight from some truly fascinating sources.
Think of it maybe as gaining future literacy.
Exactly. Understanding where we're going by deeply understanding how we actually got here.
Couldn't agree more. And our expert guide for this journey, our main source material for today's deep dive, is dagogo altraide's really captivating book, New Thinking: Technology's Path Through History.
dagogo altraide.
Now, if that name sparks a bit of recognition for you, it's probably because dagogo altraide is the brilliant mind behind that incredibly popular YouTube channel, ColdFusion.
Oh yeah, great channel.
He's really renowned for taking these super complex technological and scientific concepts and somehow making them not just accessible, but genuinely engaging, even thrilling sometimes.
He really does. He makes it seem easy.
Yeah, he has this almost uncanny knack for distilling the absolute essence of these dense topics.
He certainly does, and his book carries that same magic. It's really not just another dry historical account, not at all.
No.
It's a profound exploration. It meticulously traces the often overlooked lineage, the path of technological breakthroughs.
And he covers a huge span, right?
He sweeps across history, starting way back with the Roaring Industrial Revolution, charting a course through all these pivotal moments and pushing right up to the very frontiers of modern AI.
Wow.
And what makes it so compelling, I think, is how it reveals that these transformative moments in science and tech, they didn't just happen, in isolation or by sheer luck.
It wasn't random.
Not at all. They were the result of specific mindsets, these unexpected connections between ideas, and fundamental shifts in how people approached problems.
And crucially, it offers some truly surprising insights, doesn't it, into the underlying patterns of innovation.
Exactly. Hinting at how future breakthroughs might emerge based on how they happened before.
And that, for you, listening right now, is our Deep Dive's core mission today. By the end of this conversation, hopefully you won't just understand what happened in technology's past, but really how it happened, why it mattered, and maybe even a bit about who made it happen.
Yeah, getting beyond just the facts.
Exactly. This Deep Dive is designed to equip you with what we like to call an innovation mindset.
Right.
And a much clearer lens, hopefully, through which to view tomorrow's inevitable disruptions.
It's about seeing the future. Maybe not as this totally unpredictable whirlwind, but more as a continuation of discernible patterns, if you know where to look.
Okay, then, let's unpack this.
All right. So, if we're tracing technology's path, where do we actually begin this grand journey? It might surprise some people.
Yeah. Where's stop number one?
Well, our first stop isn't, say, a bustling factory floor churning out steam engines, or even a modern coding lab humming with servers.
Okay.
Instead, we're delving into the quiet, yet profoundly revolutionary mind of a patent clerk. Someone grappling with the very fabric of reality itself.
I think I know where you're going.
We are, of course, talking about Albert Einstein and his revolution in physics.
Yes. And this is where it gets really interesting, for me anyway, because it's a story of pure abstract thought fundamentally reshaping our physical world.
Absolutely.
When we talk about Einstein, two colossal pillars of his work immediately come to mind: his special and general theories of relativity.
Foundational.
And these weren't just, minor adjustments to the existing Newtonian physics that had dominated science for centuries.
No, definitely not just tweaks.
No way. This was a complete paradigm shift, a conceptual earthquake, really, that fundamentally changed our understanding of space, time, and gravity itself.
It's truly incredible when you think about it. This unassuming man working at the Swiss Patent Office.
Right. Not exactly a state-of-the-art lab.
No. And he revolutionized our scientific understanding of the entire universe.
Yeah.
He would conduct these famous thought experiments. Gedankenexperimente, I think they're called.
Like imagining riding alongside a beam of light.
Exactly. These incredible mental exercises, these deep philosophical ponderings. They led him to these earth-shattering discoveries about how the universe truly operates.
And without complex lab equipment, mostly.
Mostly just his brain. Pure, unadulterated intellectual audacity. It's amazing.
What's truly fascinating here, though, is how these abstract theories, born from these profound thought experiments, ripple out. They have such profound philosophical implications, sure, but then ultimately they lead to highly practical applications we use constantly.
Right. And alongside relativity, you have the equally, if not more, mind-bending field of quantum mechanics.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's where things get really weird.
They really do. This deals with this strange, completely counterintuitive world of subatomic particles.
It just doesn't make sense on our scale.
Not at all. This realm often defies our common sense intuition. Particles can exist in multiple places at once.
Spooky action at a distance.
Exactly. They can seemingly communicate instantly across vast distances, entanglement, and their very nature changes just by being observed.
It challenges our whole idea of objective reality.
It really does. So the question then becomes, how can something so bizarre and counterintuitive, something that seems to exist purely in theoretical physics, how can that actually enable the most precise and ubiquitous modern technology we use every single day?
It's a paradox, almost.
It is. It forces us to confront the fact that sometimes, the most profound truths, the deepest levels of understanding that unlock new possibilities, they lie far beyond our everyday perception.
And then, of course, there's the big one. The equation everyone knows, even if they don't fully grasp its implications. E=cc. While its fame is widespread, its true power and meaning are, well, they're staggering.
Yeah, it's more than just symbols on paper.
So much more. This isn't just a formula scribbled on a blackboard. It's a revelation about the powerful, fundamental, and frankly astonishing relationship between mass and energy.
It tells us mass is energy, essentially.
Exactly. That mass can be converted into energy and vice versa in simply staggering amounts. Even a tiny, tiny bit of mass holds immense energy.
The implications are mind-boggling.
Totally. This single formula, born from pure theoretical physics, led directly to the development of both nuclear power, a clean, incredibly potent energy source,
potentially powering whole cities.
and, regrettably, nuclear weapons, a destructive force of unimaginable scale.
Yeah.
It's a single equation that unlocked immense potential for both immense good and, well, unimaginable destruction.
And that immense, almost terrifying potential translates directly into technologies that impact you, the listener, every single day, often without you even realizing it.
Right. Take GPS satellites, for instance.
Perfect example.
The precise navigation your phone provides, that pinpoint accuracy on the map, it would be off by miles, literally miles, every single day if those satellites didn't precisely account for relativistic effects.
It sounds like science fiction, but it's real. According to Einstein's theories, the tiny differences in gravity and speed experienced by those satellites orbiting Earth compared to us down here.
Time ticks differently for them.
Exactly. Time actually ticks slightly faster for the satellites. So GPS needs to apply a daily correction. It's about 38 microseconds.
Yeah.
Tiny, but crucial due to these relativistic effects.
Without Einstein, your Maps app is useless.
Pretty much. Or consider medical imaging technologies, a truly life-saving application.
Like MRI scanners.
Precisely. MRI scanners rely heavily on the principles of quantum mechanics, the bizarre behavior of tiny particles.
The quantum weirdness we talked about.
Yeah. Specifically, the quantum spin of atomic nuclei within your body is precisely manipulated by magnetic fields and radio waves.
And this strange dance of tiny particles
Allows doctors to create these incredibly detailed images of the inside of the human body, seeing soft tissues, tumors, analyzing brain activity with stunning precision.
It's literally the strangeness of the subatomic world letting doctors diagnose and treat us.
It is. And then back to EMC Aparna, you have nuclear power plants.
Right.
These huge facilities harness that very mass energy equivalence. They control the fission, the splitting of atomic nuclei.
It's a direct controlled application of Einstein's theories.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Transforming tiny amounts of matter into massive amounts of electricity for constructive purposes. It demonstrates the incredible power contained within the atom when harnessed carefully.
Okay. So, from the grand cosmic scales of relativity and the quantum weirdness of the very, very small, let's zoom in even further to something equally minuscule, perhaps, yet arguably even more revolutionary for our daily lives.
Okay, where are we going now?
This is truly the bedrock, the foundational substrate, you could say, of the entire digital age we inhabit.
I think I know. We are, of course, talking about the transistor revolution.
Ah, the mighty transistor, yes. This tiny invention, which, let's be honest, most of us have probably never even consciously seen.
Right, it's hidden away.
It literally changed the world from the ground up. Its pivotal invention happened at Bell Labs back in 1947.
A huge moment.
Because before the transistor, computers and most electronic devices relied on something called vacuum tubes.
Oh, vacuum tubes.
And let me tell you, vacuum tubes were a colossal problem.
They really were.
Imagine trying to build a complex system with components that were large, fragile, generated a tremendous amount of heat,
Like little eaters?
consumed vast amounts of electrical power, and worst of all, were incredibly unreliable, constantly burning out, needing replacement.
Nightmare for engineers.
Picture a computer the size of an entire room, filled with thousands of these glowing, fragile tubes, a machine that would probably break down every few hours because a tube failed.
That was the frustrating reality of early computing. Very frustrating.
Indeed. It was the collaborative genius of three pioneering scientists, John Bardeen, Walter Brattain, and William Shockley, working together at Bell Labs.
The famous trio.
They replaced those bulky, energy-inefficient, and wildly unreliable vacuum tubes with something so much smaller, so much more efficient, and orders of magnitude more reliable.
It's hard to overstate the impact. This single invention, often hailed as one of the most important of the 20th century,
Easily.
enabled an incredible, almost unbelievable shift. Think about it. We went from room-sized computers filling entire buildings.
Needing teams of people just to keep them running.
Right, consuming vast power, constant maintenance, to the pocket-sized smartphones we carry today.
Which are insanely powerful.
Thousands, even millions of times more powerful than those early behemoths. It's a direct and unbroken lineage, all thanks to the transistor.
So what's the core concept? How does it actually work? It's rooted in semiconductor physics, right?
Exactly. This isn't about vacuum tubes glowing hot anymore. It's about understanding how specific materials, most famously silicon,
The stuff sand is made of.
pretty much, how silicon can be precisely engineered to control the flow of electricity. They don't just act as simple on or off switches, though that's the basic idea.
How does it work then?
It's done by subtly altering their electrical conductivity, by introducing specific impurities, a process called doping.
Doping silicon, okay.
Yeah, this creates areas that either have an excess of free electrons, that's N-type, or a deficit, which is P-type. By layering these doped materials in precise ways, you create junctions.
NPN, PNP, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Those junctions can amplify or switch electrical signals with incredible speed and efficiency. And this precise control is what enables digital logic,
The zeros and ones.
the foundation of everything. All modern computing, from the most complex AI algorithms to the simplest calculator, is built on binary systems. The simple elegance of zeros and ones, represented by a transistor being either on or off.
And why is binary so powerful?
Because it's so unambiguous. It's either on or off, a 0 or a 1. There's no in between, no maybe. This allows for unimaginably complex calculations to be broken down into these simple, reliable steps, repeated billions of times a second.
And this relentless push for smaller, faster, more efficient transistors leads us straight to Moore's law.
Ah, yes, Moore's law, famously. Now, it's important to remember this isn't a fundamental law of physics like gravity or something.
Right, it's an observation.
Exactly. An observation made by Gordon Moore, who co-founded Intel way back in 1965. He noticed that the number of transistors you could fit on an integrated circuit chip was doubling approximately every 2 years.
And with it, computing power.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Leading to a corresponding exponential increase in computing power or a decrease in cost for the same power.
What does this exponential growth truly mean? It's hard to grasp sometimes.
It means our devices become twice as powerful or half as expensive for the same power every couple of years. This incredible, relentless miniaturization, this constant push for more transistors and less space.
More bang for your buck.
Essentially, yes. That's what has fueled the entire digital revolution. It made computing power cheap and accessible enough to become truly ubiquitous. Everywhere.
So let's connect that. What does this all mean for us today, right now?
The real-world impact of the transistor is, well, it's profound, almost beyond comprehension.
It really is. Every single electronic device you own. Think about it. From the supercomputer in your pocket you call a smartphone.
Yeah.
To your smart fridge, maybe your TV, even the charger for your electric toothbrush.
Really? Even the charger?
Yep. Contains millions or often billions of these tiny invisible workhorses. They are truly everywhere, silently doing the heavy lifting.
And to underscore just how fundamental they are, just think about it.
Yeah.
The internet as we know it.
Couldn't exist.
Smartphones.
No.
The entire field of artificial intelligence.
Absolutely impossible without transistor technology. This invention didn't just enable new devices. It laid the literal groundwork for our entire modern connected world. It is the foundation. And beyond the gadgets themselves, the transistor's invention triggered this immense, almost unfathomable economic transformation.
Oh, massively.
Yeah.
It didn't just create new products, it spurred the creation of entirely new industries.
Like Silicon Valley.
Exactly. It fostered the growth of places like Silicon Valley as we know it today. This whole vibrant ecosystem of tech companies, startups, innovators.
Yeah.
It has fundamentally reshaped global economies.
Created huge wealth.
Unprecedented wealth and opportunities, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a clear and powerful example of how a singular scientific and engineering breakthrough can just cascade outwards, creating entirely new industries and massive economic shifts on a global scale.
Okay, so from the microscopic marvel of the transistor, that tiny switch powering everything, let's now zoom out and see how this minuscule component empowered a macro-level transformation, not just of computing itself, but of how we communicate, connect, access information globally.
Right, moving up a level.
This, of course, brings us squarely into the information age.
The information age, yeah, it's essentially the grand convergence, isn't it? Communication and computing coming together in this period of, well, breathtaking acceleration.
It happens so fast, historically speaking.
Incredibly fast.
Yeah.
We've witnessed this rapid evolution of long-distance communication, starting with, simple electrical signals across wires from the telegraph back in the 19th century.
Morse code.
Right. Evolving through radio, telephone, and then just exploding into the instantaneous global connectivity we have today through fiber optics, satellites, wireless networks.
It's almost taken for granted now.
It is. And similarly, computers have journeyed from those early room-sized mechanical calculators and clunky electromechanical machines to the immense computational power of today's supercomputers, and now the burgeoning promise of quantum computers. It's just an exponential increase in complexity and capability happening at a pace that, honestly, often outstrips our ability to fully comprehend it.
And a crucial concept within this interconnected age, one that really explains its explosive growth, is something called network effects.
Ah, yes. Very important.
This isn't just a simple additive process, right? Like 1 + 1 = 2.
No, it's multiplicative.
Yeah.
Or exponential, really. It explains how connected systems don't just increase in value as more users join, they create exponential value.
Give us an example.
Well, think about why platforms like social media or maybe online marketplaces become so much more useful, powerful, and indispensable with more participants.
Right. If only 2 people used Facebook.
It'd be pointless.
Yeah.
But with billions, it becomes this global phenomenon, a vital part of communication, culture, even commerce. The value isn't linear, it truly explodes as the network grows.
Which makes it incredibly hard for new competitors to break in once a network effect takes hold.
Exactly. That's the power and sometimes the danger of network effects.
So this brings us to some truly transformative technologies of the information age, the World Wide Web, for instance.
Oh, absolutely. Pioneered by Tim Berners-Lee, a pivotal moment.
What problem was he actually trying to solve when he created it at CERN back in 1989?
Well, his initial vision was actually quite specific. He envisioned a system for sharing information instantly and easily among researchers scattered around the world. A way to link documents and resources across different computer systems using hypertext.
A relatively modest goal, in retrospect.
You could say that. But his deceptively simple vision quickly democratized information on an unprecedented scale. It made knowledge accessible to everyone, everywhere, breaking down those traditional barriers to learning that had existed for millennia.
It wasn't just about sharing research papers anymore.
Not at all. It was about empowering individuals globally.
Then came mobile communications and specifically the smartphone revolution, arguably the most impactful personal technology of our generation.
Hard to argue with that. These devices evolved so quickly from simple portable telephones.
Remember those bricks?
Oh, yeah. Into these incredibly versatile tools capable of far, far more than just talking.
They packed everything in.
They really did. They integrated high-resolution cameras, GPS for precise location, entire app ecosystems, allowing for an almost infinite array of functions.
Enabling new creative stuff, too, right?
Totally. Mobile content creation, filmmaking, music production, and even critical public services like emergency coordination. Your smartphone isn't just a phone anymore.
It's a pocket supercomputer.
It is arguably the most powerful, multifaceted personal computer ever invented, and it fits right in your pocket. Astounding, really.
And behind all these things we see and touch, providing the backbone, you have cloud computing and distributed systems.
The invisible infrastructure. absolutely critical, often unseen foundations for almost every digital service we use today.
Like what?
Well, streaming video on demand, secure online banking, collaborative work platforms like Google Docs or Microsoft 365, even massive scientific simulations running on supercomputers.
How do they work, basically?
They allow massive amounts of data to be stored, processed, and accessed anywhere in the world on demand. They dynamically scale resources up or down as needed so services can handle huge fluctuations in traffic.
Okay, so this leads us to a really important question. How has this unprecedented level of connectivity and information access profoundly reshaped our societies, our cultures, even our individual lives?
That's a huge question. Huge and complex, and the impact is undeniable and still unfolding, really.
Where do we start?
Well, first, globalization. Instant communication, facilitated by these networks, has enabled truly global businesses, seamlessly connecting supply chains, customers, teams across continents.
Made the world smaller, in a way.
In many ways, yes. It has fostered rapid cultural exchanges, allowing ideas, art, music, trends to just traverse the globe in an instant, leading to increasingly interconnected, sometimes homogenized, but definitely interdependent societies. News, ideas, products travel in fractions of a second now.
Okay, what else?
Second, the democratization of information and knowledge. This is massive. Billions of people now have unprecedented access to learning resources, news from incredibly diverse sources, a vast array of perspectives.
Stuff that used to be locked away in universities or libraries.
Exactly. It fundamentally broke down those traditional barriers that once kept knowledge in the hands of a few elites or within specific institutions.
And the third major impact.
And finally, and perhaps most profoundly, this convergence has transformed how we interact socially. Our relationships, our communities, our very sense of belonging, even our political discourse have been fundamentally reshaped by digital platforms and instant connectivity. We form online communities around shared interests, niche hobbies.
We organize movements digitally.
Right, and engage in conversations that span continents and cultures. For better or worse, it's definitely a double-edged sword sometimes, with new challenges like misinformation and polarization emerging.
Sure.
But the sheer scale of the transformation in how we connect is undeniable, and it just keeps evolving.
And this increasingly interconnected world, meticulously built on these foundational technologies we've just walked through, has now set the stage for what many people are calling the next great leap forward in human history. A leap into, well, into truly thinking machines.
The next frontier.
This, of course, brings us to the fascinating and sometimes, unsettling frontier of artificial intelligence, AI.
AI. Yeah, and its intellectual roots stretch back much further than many people realize, way back to the mid-20th century, really.
Alan Turing.
Alan Turing, exactly, a towering figure, often considered the father of computer science and AI concepts. He laid so much of the groundwork.
Like the Turing test.
Right. His foundational ideas like the Turing test, which was his proposal for determining if a machine can exhibit intelligent behavior indistinguishable from a human, still influence and guide AI research, and importantly, the philosophical discussions around it today.
He gave us a way to think about it.
He gave us a conceptual framework for thinking about machine intelligence, long before we had the computing power to even begin to properly realize it.
Then came inspiration from biology, right? Neural networks.
Yes, a crucial step. These are computational models directly inspired by the intricate, interconnected biological structures of the human brain, our own neural networks.
How do they work differently from traditional programming?
Well, instead of following explicit, step-by-step instructions programmed by a human.
If this, then that.
Right. Neural networks are designed to recognize patterns by processing information in a distributed way, making connections, finding complex relationships in vast data sets, much like how neurons fire and connect in our own brains.
Learning from data.
Exactly. This innovative approach laid the conceptual groundwork for what we now call machine learning, where algorithms are designed to literally learn and improve directly from data without being explicitly programmed for every single scenario. You feed it massive amounts of data, and it finds the patterns. It learns the rules itself.
Okay, so fast forward to modern AI breakthroughs. What's driving the current wave? Deep learning seems key.
Deep learning has undeniably had the most widespread and impactful applications in recent years. Yeah. It's a specific subset of machine learning that uses these multi-layered neural networks, hence the deep part.
More layers, more complexity.
Essentially, allowing for the extraction of incredibly complex hierarchical patterns from raw data. It powers highly accurate, image recognition systems.
Like your phone identifying faces.
Exactly. Or self-driving cars seeing and interpreting the road environment with, pretty impressive reliability now. It also drives sophisticated natural language processing.
Understanding and generating text.
Right, which powers so many of our everyday interactions with AI, from voice assistants like Siri and Alexa to sophisticated translation tools, chatbots, sentiment analysis programs. It's everywhere.
And we absolutely cannot talk about modern AI without getting into large language models, LLMs.
Oh, definitely not. And the broader category of generative AI. These are the headline grabbers right now, and for good reason.
Like ChatGPT.
Tools like ChatGPT, which can generate remarkably human-like text essays, code, emails, creative writing, just in response to complex prompts. Or those powerful image generation tools.
Mid-Journey, DLE.
Right. Creating stunningly realistic or fantastical visuals from simple text descriptions. These technologies are fundamentally transforming entire fields: content creation, human-computer interaction, coding, design, even scientific discovery.
And it's not just digital stuff, right? AI is moving into the physical world, too.
Absolutely. AI is also making immense strides in robotics and autonomous systems. We're seeing advancements in self-driving vehicles, highly dexterous industrial robots performing complex assembly tasks, even AI-powered drones for agriculture or infrastructure inspection. It demonstrates AI's profound impact on physical tasks and interactions with the real world, moving far beyond just processing data.
Okay. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the future implications of AI are just vast, aren't they? Multifaceted.
They really are. There's the profound, maybe even existential potential for artificial general intelligence, AGI.
The Hollywood AI. The sentient machine.
Well, maybe not quite like Hollywood portrays it, but AGI is the theoretical concept of AI. It can perform any intellectual task a human can, with human-level intelligence, or potentially even far beyond.
And the implications if that happens.
The sheer profound implications if AGI were achieved are difficult to even fully grasp. It would redefine our relationship with technology, reshape pretty much every industry, and potentially alter every aspect of human society in ways we can only begin to imagine. The questions it raises are fundamental about consciousness, intelligence, our place in the universe.
Big questions. But while that potential is out there, AI's rapid development today raises a whole host of critical ethical considerations and societal impacts that demand our thoughtful attention right now.
Absolutely. These are not just theoretical problems for the future, they are very real challenges we are navigating now.
Like what?
For instance, the issue of algorithmic bias. If the massive data sets used to train AI systems contain biases, which they often do, because they reflect historical human biases.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Essentially, yes. The AI can inadvertently perpetuate or even amplify those societal inequalities in its outputs. This impacts crucial areas like hiring decisions, loan approvals, even criminal justice.
Serious stuff. What else?
Significant privacy concerns. AI systems process ever larger amounts of personal data, raising huge questions about data security, surveillance, and individual rights. Where does all that data go? Who control it?
And the control question itself.
Exactly. The fundamental question of control over increasingly powerful and autonomous AI systems is paramount. How do we ensure these systems remain aligned with human values and serve beneficial purposes, not harmful ones? How do we prevent unintended consequences?
And jobs. The impact on work.
And of course, the widespread transformation of work and the changing nature of human-AI collaboration. AI is already reshaping entire industries, automating tasks, changing existing job roles, and fostering entirely new models of collaboration between humans and intelligent machines. This creates both significant challenges, displacement, retraining needs, and exciting opportunities for enhanced productivity and creativity. It's a massive shift.
Okay. So we've covered the incredible what of technological progress, the devices, the breakthroughs that changed our world. But dagogo altraide's New Thinking, the book we're diving into, also goes deep into the how.
Yes, this is crucial.
This is where we uncover the core mindsets, the strategies that actually fueled these monumental breakthroughs, and importantly, principles that you, the listener, can potentially apply in your own lives and work.
Absolutely. It's about the thinking behind the tech.
And the first of these is something Altraide calls divergent thinking.
Divergent thinking. Yeah, this is a powerful concept and often quite counterintuitive compared to how we're usually taught to think.
How so?
Well, it's a contrast to convergent thinking. Convergent thinking, which is often what schools emphasize, is about narrowing down options to find a single correct answer. like on a multiple choice test.
Right, find the right answer.
Exactly. Divergent thinking, on the other hand, actively broadens the spectrum of possibilities. It's about generating as many diverse ideas as possible, fostering a more inventive, open, and less constrained approach to problem solving. The real genius lies in its uninhibited nature, its exploration of possibilities.
So how can we, practically apply this, whether you're innovating in a big company or just trying to solve a personal problem?
Well, for you, the listener, it has incredibly practical applications. Think about brainstorming sessions, for instance.
Okay.
Altraide emphasizes that in the initial stages, the quantity of ideas truly matters more than the immediate quality. You want to encourage wild, varied, even seemingly outlandish thoughts.
Don't shoot ideas down too early.
Exactly. And the hardest part for many people isn't generating ideas, it's suspending judgment during that process. It goes against our natural inclination to immediately evaluate and critique everything. But that suspension is absolutely key.
Are there tools or techniques?
Sure. Tools like mind mapping are fantastic for actively practicing divergent thinking. They help you visually connect seemingly unrelated concepts, allowing unexpected links and insights to emerge organically.
Seeing the connections visually.
Right. Or consider things like free association exercises, techniques designed to unlock creative thinking patterns by just letting ideas flow without immediate judgment, letting one thought lead freely to another, no matter how disparate they seem.
And what about those impossible ideas?
That's a crucial piece of advice the book stresses. Setting aside impossible solutions. Don't dismiss seemingly impractical or crazy ideas too early in the process.
Why not?
Because later, when you revisit them, maybe with fresh eyes or combined with other ideas, that's where you might often find surprisingly effective out-of-the-box solutions that no one else considered because they dismissed them too quickly. Park them, don't discard them immediately.
Okay, so thinking widely is key. But altraide also talks about connecting dots across different fields, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's not just about thinking widely within one field, but about the profound act of connecting dots across seemingly disparate fields. This is truly where ingenuity often sparks.
Why is this so powerful?
Altraide's argument is clear and compelling. Interdisciplinary knowledge and experiences are potent catalysts. They allow for unique connections and insights that might simply never arise if you stay confined within a single area of expertise, talking only to people who think like you.
Bringing outside perspectives in.
Exactly. When you pull ideas, methods, or perspectives from different domains, science informing art, biology informing engineering, you create entirely novel solutions.
Does the book give examples?
Oh, yeah. The iPhone is a prime, iconic example of this cross-disciplinary genius.
How so?
It wasn't just an incremental improvement on existing cell phones. It was this revolutionary combination of disparate technologies, telephony, a full-fledged computer operating system, and a media player, all seamlessly integrated into one elegant, revolutionary device.
And Steve Jobs himself embodied this, didn't he?
Absolutely. Think about Steve Jobs' unique background. He famously took a calligraphy class in college.
Which seems totally unrelated to computers at first glance.
Totally. A seemingly obscure and unrelated pursuit. Yet that deep understanding of typography, aesthetic spacing, beauty, it profoundly influenced the elegant user interfaces, the beautiful fonts, the intuitive visual design that became a hallmark of Apple products.
That's literally cross-disciplinary thinking in action. Beautiful, functional action.
Precisely. Another classic, almost humorous example is biomimicry in engineering, where solutions are directly inspired by observing nature.
Like Velcro.
Velcro, the perfect example. It wasn't invented in a lab by chemists mixing compounds. It was directly inspired by the tiny hooks on plant burrs that stubbornly stuck to the inventor's dog after a walk in the woods.
He just paid attention.
He paid attention with a curious eye. It showcases how nature can provide these elegant blueprints for innovation if we just look. Similarly, breakthroughs in advanced medical devices often come from borrowing sophisticated engineering principles from seemingly unrelated fields like aerospace engineering and applying them to solve complex biological or human health problems.
So the core idea is that good ideas aren't confined to just one box.
Not at all. They're often found at the intersections.
Okay. And perhaps the most difficult, but maybe the most essential element of breakthrough thinking, the one that underpins almost every major innovation, is the willingness to confront and learn from what doesn't work.
Yes. Embracing failure.
Embracing failure not as an endpoint, but as a critical, invaluable learning opportunity. A direct path, weirdly, to success.
It sounds paradoxical, but it's true. The core idea here is that many of the most successful innovators throughout history, the ones we admire, viewed failures not as setbacks, not as something to be ashamed of or hidden.
But as data.
Exactly. As invaluable lessons that refine their ideas, sharpen their approaches, and ultimately led them closer to their goals. Failure was part of the process, not the opposite of success.
The book must have some great stories about this.
Oh, it provides compelling case studies that really drive this point home. Thomas Edison, for instance.
The light bulb guy.
Right. His relentless experimentation and profound willingness to embrace failure are legendary. He famously stated, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work."
Before he found the one that did.
Before finally inventing the practical, long-lasting incandescent light bulb. But crucially, and this is often overlooked, he didn't stop there. He understood that a bulb alone was useless.
You needed the whole system.
Precisely. He also envisioned and created an entire electrical distribution system. The power plants, the wires, the sockets, the meters. He demonstrated this holistic, big-picture approach to innovation, where the invention itself was just one part of a complete functional ecosystem. His failures were simply data points on that much larger journey.
Who else?
Or consider James Dyson, the vacuum cleaner inventor.
Right.
His incredible persistence is a testament to this philosophy of learning from iterative attempts. He went through a staggering 5,127 prototypes.
5,000.
5,127 prototypes before finally developing the successful, revolutionary bagless vacuum cleaner. That's thousands of failures, thousands of learning opportunities before hitting on the right commercially viable solution.
Wow, that's dedication.
It really is. And then there's the ultimate accidental success story. Post-it notes.
Ah, everyone knows Post-its.
Right. The inventor, Spencer Silver, was actually initially trying to create a super strong adhesive at 3M. That was the goal.
So he failed.
His failed attempt resulted in this weak, low-tack, repositionable adhesive that seemed utterly useless for its intended purpose. It literally sat on his shelf for years, a solution without a problem. Until years later, his colleague Art Fry, who sang his church choir, was getting frustrated by traditional paper bookmarks falling out of his hymnal during practice. He remembered Silver's failed adhesive, and at that light bulb moment, he found the perfect serendipitous application for it.
That's amazing.
It beautifully highlights how an organizational environment that actively embraces experimentation, like 3M's famous culture, allowing bootlegging projects, allows failed inventions to find their true unexpected purpose through new applications and different eyes looking at the problem. Failure wasn't the end. It was a detour to a different kind of success.
This brings us to that whole fail fast, fail often philosophy you hear about in tech circles.
Exactly. And it's not about being reckless or careless, promoting failure for failure's sake. It's about strategic implementation. It's about making failure a rapid, iterative learning part of the innovation process.
So how do organizations actually do that? How do they implement it?
Well, one way is by creating small, low-cost experiments. This allows teams to test ideas quickly without massive upfront investment, gathering crucial data on what works and what doesn't very early on.
Before betting the farm.
Precisely. Another key strategy is building minimum viable products, or MVPs. You develop just enough core functionality to test your fundamental assumptions with real users.
Get it out there quickly.
Get it out there, get feedback, before committing significant resources to full development based on potentially flawed assumptions.
And feedback is key, right?
Absolutely. Establishing rapid feedback loops. This means creating continuous, systematic loops with users, with stakeholders, to quickly learn from their experiences, understand what needs refinement, and iterate rapidly on your product or idea, learning and adjusting constantly.
And culturally, how do you make it okay to fail?
That's maybe the hardest part. Fostering a culture of celebrating intelligent failures.
Yeah.
It's absolutely vital to distinguish between reckless, sloppy, avoidable failure, and failures that provide invaluable data and learning, failures that result from well-designed experiments. When this distinction is clear, and when learning from failure is genuinely valued.
Not punished.
Not punished, yeah. It fosters a culture where experimentation is not just tolerated, but actively rewarded and seen as a necessary, unavoidable part of the journey towards breakthrough innovation.
Okay. So these powerful principles, divergent thinking, cross-disciplinary work, embracing failure, they aren't just theories.
Not at all.
They are demonstrably woven into the very fabric of technological history itself. So let's dive deeper now into some specific iconic stories from dagogo altraide's book that beautifully exemplify these mindsets in action.
Great idea. Let's look at some case studies.
And we almost have to start with Steve Jobs and Apple's design revolution again.
Hard to avoid Jobs when talking innovation. His approach was just characterized by this unparalleled ability to think differently, wasn't it?
It really was. To challenge established norms, conventional wisdom, what everyone else was doing.
And this profound philosophy fundamentally reshaped not just Apple, but the entire tech industry multiple times.
His groundbreaking products, like the original iPhone we mentioned, they didn't just add features to existing devices.
It wasn't just a better phone.
It redefined entire product categories, mobile communication, personal computing. He achieved this by emphasizing seamless integration, this almost obsessive focus on the user experience.
How it felt to use it.
Exactly. And a radical simplicity that actually masked incredible complexity beneath the surface.
And the specific examples really highlight this. Remember the iPhone's initial launch, the reaction?
Oh, yeah. Widespread skepticism, even disbelief from many industry experts.
People were laughing. They famously and now comically said things like, nobody wants a computer in their phone, or it doesn't even have a physical keyboard, it'll never sell.
They just couldn't see the vision for a unified device.
And they couldn't. And Apple's radical decision back then to prioritize intuitive design and a delightful user experience over raw technical specifications.
Which was the industry norm, right? All about faster processors, more megahertz.
Exactly. That directly contradicted conventional tech industry wisdom at the time. That focus on how the user felt interacting with the device, the aesthetics, the ease of use, that was revolutionary in itself.
And it was also about that radical integration you mentioned.
How integrating multiple previously separate functions, a phone, a full-featured iPod for music, and a proper internet browser into one elegant, seamless device that required truly thinking beyond traditional product categories.
It wasn't just adding an MP3 player to a phone.
No, it was creating a new kind of device entirely, a truly integrated mobile computing platform. It forced the world to reconsider what a phone could even be.
Okay, switching gears a bit. Another compelling story of perseverance and crucially strategic breakthrough is the Wright brothers, their persistent innovation in aviation.
Ah, yes, a classic story. Their story is a powerful testament not just to sheer determination, which they had in spades,
Definitely.
but to a profoundly innovative and scientific approach to flight. They faced numerous daunting technical obstacles, obviously.
Like how to actually fly.
Right, but also significant societal skepticism. Many people simply believe human flight was an impossible dream, defying God or nature.
So what set them apart? Why did they succeed where so many others failed?
What truly set them apart and ultimately led to their success was their meticulously scientific breakthrough methodology. They didn't just rely on crude trial and error, building wings based on guesses, as many of their contemporaries did.
What did they do instead?
They built their own wind tunnel, right there in their bicycle shop.
Seriously.
Seriously. To scientifically test hundreds of different wing designs and airfoil shapes, meticulously measuring lift and drag, this was a truly pioneering, systematic move, data-driven.
And they focused on control, right? Not just power.
Absolutely critical. Unlike many contemporaries who focus solely on building powerful engines to just brute force their aircraft into the air.
Bigger engine must fly higher.
Kind of. The Wright brothers prioritized understanding and perfecting flight control systems. They realized that control the ability to truly maneuver in 3 dimensions, roll, pitch, yaw, was the fundamental key to sustained, practical flight, not just getting off the ground.
And they tested extensively.
Oh, yeah. They conducted over 1,000 systematic glider flights at Kitty Hawk, meticulously learning, understanding the dynamics of flight, collecting data, crashing sometimes, learning, iterating their designs before ever attempting powered flight.
And their background helped.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Their background as highly skilled bicycle repairmen equipped them with invaluable mechanical problem-solving skills. They knew how things worked, how to build lightweight structures, how to tinker and fix things. It allowed them to iterate and refine their designs with practical ingenuity and a deep understanding of mechanics. They weren't just theorists, they were hands-on builders.
Let's talk about the personal computer revolution. Championed by figures like Steve Jobs again, Bill Gates.
Another case of immense skepticism.
Right. This revolution also faced immense skepticism and huge technological hurdles in its infancy. The very idea, the core concept, of a computer in every home.
Seems obvious now.
But back then, it was initially dismissed as not just unrealistic, but almost absurd. A fantastical notion for science fiction, not serious business.
And the book highlights that legendary, now infamous, prediction from a prominent IBM executive.
Oh, the maybe 5 computers?
That's the one, who famously stated back in the mid-1940s that he saw a world market for maybe 5 computers, total.
Wow. Talk about missing the mark.
It starkly illustrates the initial resistance, even the sheer incredulity, towards disruptive ideas that challenge the established order. Early personal computers, when they first appeared, were often seen as expensive, niche toys for hobbyists, geeks in garages.
Not essential tools.
Not at all. But Jobs and Gates, among others, shared this profound, almost prophetic insight. They saw computers not just as calculation machines for scientists or big corporations.
What did they see them as?
As powerful, intuitive tools for creativity, for communication, for personal productivity, for the everyday person, for you and me.
And they built ecosystems, not just boxes.
Critically important. They didn't just build computers, they built entire ecosystems. Carefully integrated hardware, user-friendly software, compelling applications, things that made these machines truly useful, accessible, and ultimately desirable to the masses. That's what unlocked their latent potential for a whole new generation.
Okay, shifting to a different kind of innovation, fostering it within companies. There's the incredibly insightful concept of creative freedom, right? Epitomized by Google's famous 20% time policy.
Yes, and 3M's enduring culture of innovation before that. Companies like Google and 3M famously allowed their employees, engineers, researchers, whoever, to dedicate a significant portion of their work time.
For Google, it was 20% 1 day a week.
Right, to work on personal projects of their own choosing. Projects that weren't necessarily directly related to their core job responsibilities or the company's main product roadmap.
Giving people space to tinker.
Exactly. This fostered an environment of grassroots innovation. It empowered individuals to explore their own curiosities, pursue side projects, play around with ideas.
Did it actually lead to anything significant, or was it just a nice perk?
Oh, the real impact is simply incredible. A testament to the power of autonomous exploration. Many major Google products that we use every single day, things like Gmail, Google News, AdSense.
Really? Gmail came from that?
Yep. They actually originated from engineers' side projects undertaken during Google's 20% time. These weren't top-down strategic initiatives mandated by management.
They bubbled up from the bottom.
Exactly. Born from the bottom up, demonstrating the immense power of empowering individual curiosity and giving people freedom. Similarly, 3M's long-standing culture of experimentation, which encouraged employees to tinker and pursue ideas that seemed off-roadmap.
Led to Post-it notes.
Right, which we discussed earlier. But also to other iconic innovations like Scotch tape. It was part of their DNA.
So the lesson there.
The profound lesson here is that creating dedicated space and time for exploration and experimentation, even if it initially seems unrelated to immediate core business goals, can lead to monumental, unforeseen breakthrough innovations that truly reshape industries. You have to allow for serendipity.
Okay, one more case study. Let's turn to a more modern example that brilliantly encapsulates strategic innovation and market disruption, Tesla's electric vehicle strategy.
Ah, Tesla. Yeah, this wasn't just a sudden explosion onto the scene. It was a masterclass in patient, strategic innovation and market penetration, designed specifically to overcome this deep-seated skepticism about electric vehicles.
Because people thought they were slow, boring golf carts, basically.
Pretty much, or just impractical. So they didn't just try to sell a new type of car. They had this carefully phased approach to adoption.
How did it work?
It was a brilliant counterintuitive move, really. They started at the very top of the market with the high-end sports car, the original Roadster.
Which was expensive.
Very expensive. The goal wasn't mass sales initially. It was to prove a point, to demonstrate very visibly that electric vehicles could be powerful, desirable, sexy even, fundamentally changing that perception.
Targeting early adopters and influencers?
Exactly. Building desire and credibility first. Then they systematically progressed downwards to luxury sedans like the Model S and the Model X, establishing a premium brand, expanding their market appeal, showing practicality.
And only then went for volume.
Only after building that strong foundation, that brand image, did they eventually reach for the mass market with models like the more affordable Model 3 and Model Y.
Yeah.
It was step by step.
And crucially, they tackled the infrastructure problem too.
Critically important. Tesla didn't just build cars. They understood the ecosystem problem from day one. They built out the entire charging infrastructure, the supercharger network, alongside vehicle development,
Addressing range anxiety head-on.
directly addressing the major barrier to adoption for consumers: range anxiety and the hassle of charging availability. The profound lesson here is how patient, strategic implementation, coupled with a truly revolutionary product, can gradually shift public perception, create demand, and ultimately achieve widespread acceptance of a new, disruptive technology, even against huge odds.
Wow. Okay. So after this incredible deep dive into dagogo altraide's new thinking, we've traversed from the fundamental nature of reality itself to the intricacies of modern AI to these strategies of innovation.
Quite a journey.
What does this all mean for you right now, for the listener navigating this world of constant, rapid technological flux?
That's a key question, isn't it? How do we apply this?
Well, for your personal growth, there are incredibly practical and actionable learning applications here.
Like what?
You can powerfully develop your ability for pattern recognition, seeing how breakthrough innovations often cleverly combine existing ideas, seemingly disparate concepts, or established technologies in novel, unexpected ways.
It's rarely something completely new out of the blue.
Rarely. It's often a brilliant new combination, a new application, and cultivates systems thinking, recognizing how technological developments don't exist in a vacuum.
They have knock-on effects.
Exactly. They create these cascading effects across society, often with complex, unforeseen consequences, both positive and challenging. And perhaps most importantly, cultivate what we've been calling future literacy.
Being prepared for what's next.
Yeah. The vital skill of anticipating, adapting to, and maybe even influencing technological change rather than simply being swept away by it. It's about trying to be an active participant in shaping the future, not just a passive observer.
And for your professional development, how does this help someone in their career?
Well, this knowledge is truly invaluable there, too. You can actively cultivate an innovation mindset by learning directly from these historical patterns, the successes, the intelligent failures of history's greatest inventors and scientists.
Applying their strategies.
Exactly. Applying their strategies, their wins of thinking, to your own challenges, whether you're leading a small startup or working within a large established corporation, you'll gain a much sharper eye for technology assessment.
Evaluating new tech.
Yeah, allowing you to better evaluate the potential impact, the disruption, the opportunities of emerging technologies, both within your specific field and more broadly across different industries. And finally, for strategic planning.
Using history to inform the future.
Right. You can use these profound historical patterns as a powerful tool to inform future decisions, develop more robust, forward-looking strategies, and position yourself and your organization for success in this rapidly changing landscape. History doesn't repeat exactly, but it often rhymes.
And connecting this rich history to current events, the parallels are just striking, aren't they? Almost uncanny sometimes.
Totally. Take the current explosion in AI and machine learning. We're seeing very real, groundbreaking developments happening almost daily in large language models like ChatGPT, advanced image generation, increasingly capable autonomous vehicles. It's moving so fast.
Incredibly fast. And we can draw clear parallels between today's AI boom and previous major technological revolutions like the Industrial Revolution or the advent of the Internet.
Looking at the societal impacts.
Yeah, considering the similar potential societal impacts on work, on leisure, education, fundamentally on how we live and interact, understanding the past helps us frame the present and maybe anticipate the future a bit better.
Or consider quantum computing. This is where those strange, counterintuitive principles of quantum mechanics we touched upon way back with Einstein are now being actively harnessed and applied to create fundamentally new types of computers.
Not just faster versions of what we have.
No, totally different. They operate on entirely different principles, manipulating quantum states like superposition and entanglement. This gives them the theoretical potential to solve certain types of problems that are utterly impossible for even the most powerful classical supercomputers today.
Like what kind of problems? Think about the profound implications for fields like cryptography, potentially breaking current encryption methods, or accelerating drug discovery and material science by simulating molecules with incredible accuracy, or highly complex scientific modeling in areas like climate science or astrophysics. It's a truly next-generation frontier building directly on that fundamental physics discovered a century ago.
And then there's the whole field of biotechnology and genetic engineering.
Another huge area. Here we see this fascinating and profound convergence of information technology principles, data analysis, algorithms, modeling, being applied directly to biological systems.
IT meets biology.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We're talking about technologies like CRISPR and other gene editing tools. You could almost think of them as potentially the transistors of biology.
That's so.
Just as transistors allowed precise control over the flow of electrons, these technologies allow us increasingly to precisely edit genetic code, targeting specific DNA sequences to remove, modify, or insert genes with incredible precision.
The implications are massive.
Huge. This suggests a powerful new era where digital and biological innovations intertwine, leading to potential breakthroughs in medicine, agriculture, disease prevention, maybe even environmental remediation. It's a truly exciting and sometimes daunting frontier.
So dagogo altraide's central message in New Thinking, it really profoundly demonstrates that we are not just observers, right? We are living through one of the most dynamic and transformative periods in all of human history.
It really feels that way. The book's core insight, reiterated throughout all these compelling narratives, is that breakthrough thinking often comes not just from incremental improvement.
Doing the same thing slightly better.
Right. But from questioning fundamental assumptions, challenging the knowns, the things everyone takes for granted, and crucially connecting ideas and disciplines that, at first glance, seem entirely unrelated or even contradictory.
That's where the sparks fly.
That's often where the magic happens, at those unexpected intersections.
And this incredible historical perspective, it isn't just for, intellectual fascination. It's not just interesting trivia.
No, it's actionable.
It's a vital, actionable roadmap for future progress. The principles, the patterns, the mindsets revealed in this deep dive into technological history provide a powerful framework for continued innovation and progress.
Which we desperately need.
Especially as we face increasingly complex global challenges today, right? Climate change, rapidly aging populations, global health crises, resource constraints, the list goes on.
Understanding how we've innovated in the past, how seemingly impossible problems were overcome through ingenuity and persistence. That gives us invaluable tools and maybe some hope and a powerful blueprint to innovate for the future challenges.
Well, what an incredible journey we've taken through the often hidden history of technology guided by new thinking.
It really covered a lot of ground.
From Einstein's mind-bending theories literally reshaping our understanding of reality itself, to the tiny ubiquitous transistor powering our entire digital world, to the explosion of the internet and the rapid ongoing rise of artificial intelligence. We've seen how constant, often audacious innovation drives human progress, sometimes in the most unexpected ways.
And beyond the specific inventions, the gadgets, and the code, we've also uncovered those crucial, repeatable mindsets that seem to underpin these breakthroughs.
Right, the power of emergent thinking.
The catalytic potential of cross-disciplinary integration.
And perhaps most vitally, that invaluable art of embracing failure, not as an end, but as a learning opportunity, a stepping stone on the path to success.
New thinking truly shows us, I believe, that the future isn't just something that happens to us. It's being actively shaped by principles and patterns from the past, waiting to be rediscovered and reapplied creatively.
So by understanding how past innovations emerged, how they overcame skepticism, how they spread and changed the world, you, listening, are now better equipped, hopefully, to navigate, understand, and maybe even contribute to shaping our ongoing technological revolution.
So as you look around today, at the rapid advancements happening right now, from AI's expanding capabilities to the weirdness of quantum computing starting to become real, the precision of biotechnology, the emergence of autonomous systems everywhere, maybe consider this.
What's the takeaway thought?
What fundamental assumptions are we making right now in our own lives, in our industries, in our societies? Assumptions that might need to be questioned.
Challenging the status quo.
Exactly. And what seemingly unrelated ideas floating around in different fields, if they were courageously combined, could spark the next truly world-changing breakthrough.
Something to mull over, definitely, as you step, perhaps with new eyes, into a future built on new thinking.